Hi, I'm Bill the Geek, broadcasting not live from Chapala, Mexico. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel. This is a very special video. It's about having relationships with Mexican nationals. This is going to be from a male perspective, but most of what I'm going to share with you in this video applies to expat Canadian American men and women who are thinking about developing a romantic relationship with a Mexican national. I personally have been in and have seen some real train wrecks that have cost people a lot of time and a lot of money. So I'm making this video to help you when you're walking into a relationship to be aware what to look for, what to ask, what to walk away from, what to hook up with, so that you can avoid the pitfalls that can turn what you thought was going to be a wonderful romance into a big nightmare. At the very end of this video, I'm going to describe what I would call my idea relationship, and I'm going to give you an example of a relationship like this, of my best friend in the United States. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you what happened to an American guy from Pittsburgh that married a Mexican national woman, and it ended up being a total nightmare. Both of those come up at the very end of the video. Okay, let's get down to some questions you want to ask to ensure that you don't end up in a train wreck or in a total nightmare. I've been on a lot of dates throughout my life, and a lot of these dates were internet dates, and you're going to meet the people for the first time. My suggestion, if you're meeting someone for the first time, you set up that first date, do it at 10 o'clock in the morning at a restaurant for coffee. That will save you a lot of time and money because you're not going out to dinner, spending a bunch of money, going to a movie, all that kind of stuff. And the whole time, you didn't like this person. The minute you met them, you don't like what they look like. So if you do this at 10 o'clock in the morning in a restaurant, it's totally safe. You're only going to spend about $2, maybe $5 for some coffee. And if you don't like the experience, then you're all done by 10:30 or 11 o'clock. That's tip number one. Now, I've met a lot of women in Mexico, Mexican nationals, and I know professional women. I know women that own restaurants, women that are attorneys, women that are dental hygienists, women that are doctors, women that are lawyers. I've met a lot. And then I've met a lot of Mexican women that don't work at all. They don't want to work. So it depends on what you're looking for and what your financial situation is. I like a woman that can contribute to the finances of our relationship. I don't want to pay for everything all of the time. So a big question for me is, do you have a job, and what is it that you do? Because there are some Mexican women that do not want to work. They want to hook up with you, move in with you, you pay for everything, and maybe you fall in love with them a little too fast, and the next thing you know, they're sucking all the money out of your bank account. So a big question is, do you have a job? Unless you have Kennedy money and you don't care, and you can just spend money and just spend tens of thousands of dollars a month, buy them cars, buy them a house. If you're in that situation, don't worry about it. But if you don't want to be Santa Claus, then you want to ask them, do you have a job? Now we get into the family situation. Mexicans have a very tight family situation. And many of them, their family is the universe. Nothing else exists except for the universe. So, and that means many gatherings, scores of hours in the week, spending time with this person that you're getting romantically involved with, spending time with her family. It depends on how you feel about that. How do you like to spend your time? I mean, do you like hanging out with people all of the time? Or I'm kind of like a person like I would rather be at home reading a book or studying some computer software or creating some YouTube videos. I'm not really into that being around people all of the time. So now we're going to go into some things to ask that you can not get ambushed by the total immersion into that family for scores of hours every week. One question you want to ask is, are your parents alive and where do they live? Now, do they live in the same city? Do they live a half a block away? Do they live 2 miles away? Or do they live 8 hours away? Because Mexican women, there are some Mexican women that like to see their mothers every day, or at least twice a week or one time a week. And many times they want you to go with them to see their mother. Now, a big question also is, how many brothers and sisters do you have? My car's been in the shop for about 3 or 4 months now. So I've been taking a lot of taxi rides, and I know all the taxi drivers by name. There are about 5 of them. One taxi driver has 8 kids. He's only about 45 years old. Another one has 4 kids. Another one has 5 kids. Another one has 3 kids. Mexicans can have big families. I dated a woman once, she had 9 brothers and sisters, and they all had kids, and they all lived in the same city. And what this means is that they have regular gatherings, and they would get together every Sunday. And I never really wanted to go, but once I got there, it would be fun, a lot of food, a lot of music, a lot of dancing. They treated me great. It was wonderful. But do you want to do that every Sunday? If you hook up in this relationship, can you say, no, I don't want to go? And you're talking about every Mexican holiday. You're talking about Christmas, New Year's, every Sunday. That's like 12 hours. And then they show up at your house. You may get a surprise visit with a van with like 12 people that just want to eat your food and spend 12 hours at your house and maybe spend the night, or unannounced, they may want to spend 2 or 3 days. If you like that, good for you. But I have a friend here in Chapala. She was married, she's an American. She married a Mexican male, and she was married for him for 10 years. And she said the family gatherings is what caused our divorce. It was just too much family. So again, the question is, how many brothers and sisters do you have, and where do they live? And for me, the preferred answer is they live 8 to 10 hours away in another city. Another big question is how many children do you have? It's a common thing for even adult children of Mexico's in Mexico will live with the mother. The mother may be 50 years old, 55 years old, 45 years old, and she has one or 4 or 5 children living with her in the house. So you have a date, you go over to her house, and you're in there with 1 to 4 other people. And they have visitors. They visit a lot. they have kids. All of a sudden, her house becomes the kid drop. Oh, can you go pick up little Johnny at school today? Can you take little Johnny to school? Oh, I've got a business meeting at 6 o'clock tonight. Can you watch little Johnny for 1 hour? Oh, the 1 hour is never 1 hour. It's always like 4 or 5 hours. So a big question is, how many kids do you have? And you go back to the question of, do you have a job? Because many times you can put yourself in a situation where not only are you paying for mom, but you're paying for the food and the expenses of all of her children also. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Have you gone through this before? Do you have any feedback to share with other people? And how's the video going? If you like the video, please click the like button. It helps our channel. We have many more videos to come, so think about clicking the subscribe button. I had a date once with a Mexican woman, and I followed the rules. I took her out for coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning at a nice restaurant. And I asked her, where do you live? And she lived with her mother. And I asked her, do you have children? Well, yes. My children live with my mother also. Okay. And I asked her, well, what do you do for a living? She says, I don't have a job. Okay. And in my mind, the date was over right then. But I stuck around, I was friendly and all that kind of stuff. But that was a nightmare train wreck ready to happen. Another big question is to ask, where are you from? The preferred answer is, she is from a city, or this person that you're dating is from a city that is 5 to 10 hours away from where she lives. That gets you out of all the family situation. And it means that this person is adventurous enough to have moved away from the culture of her family. I know a very successful attorney, immigration attorney. She's also a real estate attorney in Puerto Vallarta. Her family lives in Guadalajara. She has 9 brothers and sisters, and her family was very wealthy. But she wanted to get away from family, have her own life. She owns properties in Puerto Vallarta. She's super attractive, bilingual, but from Guadalajara to Puerto Vallarta is a 5-hour drive. She's quite independent. She enjoys her life. She is a great prospect on my list of a Mexican woman that I want to know. We go live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. That's Chicago time, Houston time. And we talk about all things Mexico. We talk about immigration, housing, COVID, meeting people, doing things. We visit beaches and lakes and pueblos and big cities, museums, churches, and we talk about all of that. And we have people from all over the world that join us, and we have a good time. So you want to click the subscribe button so you get a notification, so that all you have to do is click the notification and you're in with live Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. A big question I like to ask is, did you go to college? There are many very well-educated people in Mexico, especially in the big cities. In the big cities, there are a lot of colleges. Families put their kids through college. These are very educated, independent people, and college gives them an opportunity to earn a living. I like the preferred answer there is yes. Another question is, who lives with you now? You never know what the answer is going to be here. It could be that this woman lives with her mom, or she lives with her mom and her dad, or maybe she lives with her mom and her 4 kids. Who lives with you now? The preferred answer is I live by myself. Now, for me, a big question is, what are you reading now? And what have you read in the past? What is your favorite book that you have ever read? For me, I like information. I like people that read, people that absorb information. Because what are you going to talk about? I like to talk about ideas. I like people that are learning and doing things. And I dated a person, and she would get upset if I was reading. Okay? So I think for me, that's a very big question. What are you reading? And that tells me what this person is doing to cultivate their mind. Now, so you've had your coffee thingy, you've had your coffee interview, you've asked some questions, and so now maybe you're saying, well, this seems okay. She answered the questions the way I like. So now it's time for us to get to know each other better. So now it's time for you to start going to restaurants, going to movies, going to the grocery store. Now it's time to see, how does she pay? When you go to a restaurant, does she offer to pay half? Does she offer to pay for the entire meal? When you go to a movie, does she offer to pay her way? How does she pay? Does she never want to pay anything? That's a very good sign of what's going to happen in the future. I had a very good friend in Puerto Vallarta. I was about 47 years old. She was 80. She fell in love with me, and which was hard for me to believe. I just thought that we were friends, and I thought of her as like my grandmother or something, but she had other ideas. But that's a whole different story. But like, we would go places, you know, she was a nice lady, and I would take her out to, like, for lunch or something like that. And she would always offer to pay for half. If we took a taxi, she would always offer to pay for half. She was always offering to pay. She didn't have a lot of money, but she always offered to pay, and I respected that. Another way to see how she likes to pay is take her to a grocery store several times. When you go to the grocery store to buy stuff for you, does she start throwing in a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this? And but when you get to the checkout counter, she disappears. Okay, check that out. Does that happen? I dated a woman once that when I went to Walmart, when I went to Costco, I'd say, I'm going to Costco. You want to go? Yeah. And it was like when I got to Costco, it was like she was there with Santa Claus. All of a sudden, all this stuff would be in my bass cart. What is this? What is that? I didn't want any of this and that. So do that experiment. Also go to the grocery store 3 or 4 times and see how that goes. Now, my friend Steve, he's from Pittsburgh, and he was living in Puerto Vallarta, and he met a Mexican woman, and they fell in love. And he had been single for some time. He was about 58 years old. So they hooked up, and then she wanted to move in with him. Well, okay, so they hooked up, she moved in, but it ended up she had 3 children, okay? So she moved in, and all of the children moved in. And he was floating the boat and paying for everything for her and her 3 children. And then her external family, her mom, her dad, her brothers and sisters, always needed financial assistance. So Steve, after about 4 or 5 years of this, finally just shut the situation down. He lost a lot of money, and now they are divorced. Now, a friend of mine in Columbus, Ohio, both of these people are American citizens, and his name is Donald, her name is Pat. And Pat is a retired warden for a prison, a women's prison in Ohio, and he's a retired Columbus, Ohio police officer. He was a lieutenant in the police department. They both are retired. They both own homes. They both have regular good income. They both have money in the bank. They've been together for 8 years. And they don't live together. They have their own space. They have their own houses. They have their own money. When they want to see each other, they get together. They decide whose house they're going to go to. And Pat, the female, has no children. Her mother is alive. Her mother is 85, lives in Columbus also. And he has 4 children. And Pat can entertain herself. She loves to read. She watches movies. She has friends. And she's not a family person. Donald is a big family person. His kids have kids. He's a member of the church. He goes to church every Sunday. He's a deacon in the church. Pat doesn't go to church. She doesn't want to go to church. She doesn't want to be around his family. He has grandchildren, and sometimes he'll ask her, "Oh, can you watch my grandchild today?" And he's like 5 or 6 years old. Pat will do it, but she doesn't want to do it. They have gatherings for birthdays, Christmas time, Thanksgiving. Pat has told him up front, "Look, I'm really not into that. I don't want to hang out with these people for 12 hours a day. I don't want to go to church with you. I don't want to watch your grandchildren." And they have an understanding, and I really respect that relationship. And they're very happy, and they've been together for 8 years, and I see them being together for a long time to come. I think that is a great relationship. So in summary for me, I just want to avoid the nightmare train wreck, where I'm in a relationship all of a sudden where I pay for everything, every dime, every penny, and I end up spending scores of hours with people I really would not rather be with. They're very nice people, but I would rather be at home reading a book, studying software, creating videos, writing a book. I like to be creative with my time. I like to learn things with my time. So I hope this video helps you with some questions. You can have a wonderful romantic relationship in Mexico, and it doesn't matter if they are Mexican nationals or Americans. I heard one story where this American guy, he was about 60, he met this American woman, she was about 60, she had money, he didn't have money, they fell in love, they got married, and then he got into her bank account, took all her money, and he disappeared. I've heard stories like this of Americans doing this to Americans many times, where one person hooks up with another person and all of a sudden they get married, and then the other person disappears with all of their money. Be careful. Thank you very much for joining us today, or right now. We have many more videos to come. If you like the video and you want to see more, we're going to be cranking out the videos, so hit the subscribe button. I'm Bill the Geek. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel. See you in the next video.